I. Justice satire. Where has justice gone? Where has justice gone? House Speaker Kevin, sir. Do you enjoy satire? Do you need a video? Why use satire for social change? Should I be your interrogator? Can't you beware of the GOP rhetorical sophists like Donald? Speaker Kevin, sir. Why is it that you must lead a twisted totalitarian ideology? Why do you fear your radicalized base? When Donald thinks nothing of, we the people of the United States. Why should we allow liberty to a man with so much appalling contempt towards the only sacrosanct federal document in our country, the American Constitution? Why should we allow Donald Trump his continued liberty to speak treason? And why should he continue to enjoy the pleasures that most regular citizens will never have? Those grifted POTUS 45 presidential entitlements. Perks to ex-presidents costing taxpayers $4 million annually, and doesn't he continue his dubious gaslighting on Truth Social through his grifted funding? Why should we hold Benedict Arnold more accountable than Donald Trump? Speaker Kevin, sir. Shouldn't Donald be tried under the RICO Act? Haven't you conspired with him? Have you not become mentally ill from his dark triad and will to power? Dear reader, isn't accountability important for justice? Doesn't anger follow injustice? Is our government being fair? Isn't there a social contract? Isn't the government of the United States, of the people, for the people, and by the people? Or have we already become a dictatorship? Isn't this a Socratic paradox? Why must I be so rhetorical? And why do I feel like Clark Griswold in Christmas Vacation? Why am I drawn to watch this YouTube clip again? Speaker Kevin, sir. Why are we funding his treason? Why have most Americans forgotten Thomas Paine's common sense? Why are so many ignorant of insightful Thomas Paine videos on YouTube? Why does an average government official fail to grasp this way of thinking? Why has lawmaking and representing the people become so mundanely monotonous that your common sense no longer exists, Kevin? Don't you need a lengthy YouTube presentation from another transplanted logical thinker to understand your flawed, illogical way of viewing what is relevant in contemporary politics? What would Hobbes think about your Leviathan way of legislation? Aren't you speaking of Kevin McCarthy? Aren't you speaking despotic ally? Aren't you speaking of striking awfulness? Aren't you speaking quite an Archie Calley? Aren't you speaking about a wilderness? Aren't you speaking of harmful hatefulness? Aren't you speaking of crushing vengefulness? Aren't you speaking of blind deceitfulness? Aren't you speaking of your ignorance? Aren't you speaking of our fragile ity? Aren't you speaking of that absurd ity? Aren't you speaking of life's morbid ity? Aren't you speaking an ideology? Aren't you speaking blanket Orwellian? Aren't you speaking Machiavellian? Aren't you speaking totalitarian? Aren't you speaking of our oblivion? Aren't you speaking of Kevin McCarthy? Didn't the framers establish justice? Wasn't it a 52-word paragraph written in the hot Philadelphia summer of 1787? Shouldn't Donald Trump be indicted by the Justice Department and held accountable for his ongoing criminal activities? Why do you think it has become necessary to waste the taxpayers' time reading these words slowly in a new Congress? Isn't it because ignorance of the law has become an alarming side effect of electing radicalized Trump Party loyalists? Where has justice gone? Yes, sir, Plato, yes, sir. I know nothing. Sir, Kevin, sir. Why, Kevin, sir, do those who follow you seek to break the social contract? And, why, Kevin, don't you feel conservative, independently thinking patriots like us won't react in protest? Are we simply lamb to you? Don't you think about the culling to be done by your fascist followers? Speaker Kevin, sir. Why, sir, are you not held accountable for your actions? Isn't it in Nietzsche's will to power that you can derive the strength to crush your opponents? Don't you know, those GOP extremes seek the destruction of our hard-fought liberty? The American ideal of being free. Haven't you been there before? With all of the blood and gore. Don't they fantasize about profiting from your glorious victory? Speaker Kevin, sir. Couldn't you listen to a patriotic Liz Cheney when she spoke a congressional prophecy, "We take an oath to defend the United States Constitution"? That oath must mean something. To my Republican colleagues defending the indefensible, there will come a day when Donald Trump is gone, but your dishonor will remain. Quote. Speaker Kevin, sir. With your rule, sir, will this day ever come? Are we not done with being bullied by you, sir? Can't you see that the sound of silence is most disturbing to me, sir? Will I not arise from the ashes of oppression to produce a ripple of hope? Have you not seen Tiananmen Square? Don't you fear the lifestyle of Haiti? Do you honestly believe that an honorable patriotic sage like me will ever forget the presentation of Jan. 6 Committee member Jamie Raskin in the 9th public hearing? Specifically burned into my memory and confirmed were the hypocritical statements you have made as witnessed entered into evidence herein on the video. The president bears responsibility. However, you are hypocritically dismissive in your condemnation of the committee's investigation and have confirmed your hypocrisy through a trip to kowtow in front of Donald at Mar-a-Lago on January 28, 2021. Closing parenthesis. Why can't you acknowledge that we aren't as ignorant as you may think we are, sir? Yes, sir, Plato, yes, sir. We are a duty-bound republic founded by virtuous men for the common good of all its people. Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Your ego. Your ego. So where is the common good for you, Donald, when you say it was necessary to steal and dangerously mishandle our important security documents as if they were your insurrectionist toys? Why have you said that you should not be accountable for violating the treason laws governing espionage, then admitting you did it while claiming that law enforcement has turned the investigation into a witch hunt? Aren't you behaving like a young Abigail Williams in a court filled with opinionated extreme vengefulness by turning your toxic ideology into hateful hypocrisy? Do you honestly feel, Donald, that your words make you virtuous to good, peace-loving people? Or are you enabling ugly nihilistic hate-mongers of that endangered and nearly extinct GOP? Aren't you part of the violence problem and not part of a peace-loving solution? Aren't you behaving immaturely, vengefully, just like Abigail? But you will never confess that you're a witch to avoid the gallows because DOJ hasn't found enough evidence to bring you to trial. How can it be a witch hunt when you intentionally ignore the consequences of your immoral and unholy actions? Why do you think that you are above the law? Why can't you be honest with us, Donald? Mr. Donald, sir. Wah, wah, wah. Why do you behave like a baby, sir? Don't cry now. The party isn't over. It's just you now, sir. You can't have your cake and eat it. It's always been about you with Kevin. He'll support you. Now hush as he says. Wah, wah, wah. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker. Kevin, is this unethical man your moral exemplar? Why would anyone kowtow to such a mentally ill former president who exhibits such an unethical and extremely dark triad? Even a lowly unknowing dog is suspicious of the unholy stench of this inferno-produced spawn as was written in Dante Alighieri's classic. Or, are you so ignorant that you have never heard of Dante's Divine Comedy? Can you hear them? Can you hear them running? Can you hear them calling you? Have you heard of Mike and his mechanics? Isn't this a silent running of scared Congress members? Sir, Kevin, sir. Aren't those many political pundits wrong in saying you, Kevin, have kissed Donald's ring? Why did I imagine this so differently? Why can I concede that I know nothing, yet perceive that you went to Mar-a-Lago because of Trump's will to power and his persuasive rhetorical effect on the party's extremist ideologues? Sir, Kevin, sir. Don't you know that a plebeian academic political scholar can see that you've acted excessively subserviently? As a GOP leader, didn't you unscrupulously kowtow in a pandering way to Donald's persuasive hold on the Republican Party's populist base? Wasn't this your will to power? Didn't it ring true when Liz Cheney told her political GOP denialist colleagues that they were defending the indefensible? Sir, Kevin, sir. Didn't it ring true when Socrates argued in Plato's Republic that it's always better to be just than unjust? Did you say, Kevin, that what happened on Capitol Hill on Jan. 6, 2021, was atrocious and totally wrong? Have you dishonored yourself in front of honorable conservative veterans? Have you not become vile and most repugnant to my patriotic friends? Why can't you set the record straight on this, sir? Is it that you're still pandering? Sir, Kevin, sir. Doesn't this roll off my tongue just like poetry? I wholeheartedly despise you, Kevin, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir. Have you not become the King Leviathan of the House and GOP? Hobbes and trustworthy beast. Your only interest is in your wealth and power, not the common good of a social contract. Congratulations, Kevin, you have now become the target of peaceful and virtuous patriots that your leadership crushed for Trump, like Rep. Adam Kinzinger and Liz. You'll have a miserable time convincing anyone to be on your side now. Sir, while using the vengeful rhetoric of your moral exemplar, a mentally ill sociopath. What will you do, sir? What will you do? Do what you will, Kevin, sir, but what will you do when you hear those terrifying shouts from the opposite side of the aisle in protest towards MTG's chronic belching of her fiery toxic bitterness and extreme MAGA rhetorical hate speech? Sir, Mr. Kevin, sir. Can anyone imagine, as I have, the brave, intrepid words of a rarely heard congressional representative shouting out? Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker. Point of order, point of order. There be dragon signs here with the lack of civilness in her words. But, sir, you do know that fire and brimstone animals are not acceptable on the floor as they are highly disruptive to the order of a good house. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker. Emergency, emergency. Our Calliope has crashed to the ground, sir. And Liz is still struggling for enough oxygen to speak. So why do you consume more than your fair share of our common good, sir? The suffering is everywhere in this chamber. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker. Chaos, chaos. Your toxic CPAC rhetoric has brought a miasma-like smog to the House floor. And many of your virtuous party members have begun sneezing and wheezing. In your ideology, they are cowardly rhinos to be hunted down and mounted on the party wall. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker. Active shooter, active shooter. McCarthy, please call the master at arms and remove this abomination to the people's business. Our existential bills must get past her. But, sir, frightened people are in the gallery writing songs that voices will never share. Didn't you see her sneak by the mags on her warpath? Point of order. Point of order. Justice, justice. We have reached the state of nature in the House. Kevin, haven't you achieved your dream of being elected both the Speaker and the hero enabler for all of the GOP election denialists? But, shouldn't we adjourn for our safety and await your replacement? Because no one has the desire to be with any repugnant monsters in this House. Honorable House members, honorable House members. Liberty, liberty. Those in the gallery have seen Hobbes' terrorist leviathans, whose words now echo in a resounding silence within our congressional halls of shame. How can you not be afraid of their stampede? Are they not trying to avoid those annihilistic GOP patriots? Thank you, sirs, thank you. Or would you rather receive a citizen's frighteningly ominous paradoxical letter? Sir, Kevin, sir. Should you be surprised your face turns red, white, and blue with horror when your demise comes? Can you not see the proverbial handwriting on the escape tunnel walls? Can you not see the faces of those virtuous freedom-loving patriots in the naked light, just enough to honor their social contract? Could there not be 10,000 faces, maybe more? Won't you acknowledge that most Republicans will never read Plato's Republic, and are oblivious to justice? Are you honestly prepared for an existential constitutional crisis like this? Will you listen to me closely, sir? Or, will you find a reason to silence me as being out of order, as your illogical Leviathan ideology dictates? Isn't sarcasm allowed on the floor if you're in charge? Should no one be allowed eudaimonia while you rule? Signed, a censured ghost of the party. Mr. Kevin, sir. Mr. Kevin, sir. Has an oppressed poet become your worst nightmare? Do you not fear me because I'm now a constitutional conservative and an independent voter who has refused to be pinned down by your nihilistic ideology? Or do you not worry about my protected free form of free speech, as I do Donald's on Truth Social? Can you not see the rhetorical power of silencing a man like me? Don't you support a twisted interpretation of the Second Amendment that Sen. Ted Cruz spews, and are you not a legislative enabler of the hideous fire-belching MTG? Did you say that you will force members to read the Constitution on the floor so that you can delay legislation at the taxpayer's cost? Sir, Mr. Kevin, sir. Don't you need to be the correct type of citizen for this job? Why can't you answer me honestly? Please do not tarry, sir, because the prophets have said that the cancer of insurrection grows in your silence. How can you find hate in these disconcerting patriotic words? Can't you see my fear? Or, will your knowledge of nothing help you to find joy in it? Aren't you ignorant of the virtuous people who find you unfit to rule in a house filled with honorable, duty-bound oath-keeping representatives? Incredible. Donald Trump. Are you not a credible ongoing threat to our democracy, Donald? Don't you seek to destroy our Constitution and form an autocracy that fits your totalitarian idealism, Donald? Why have I been captured and chained to the cave wall? Plato, where have you gone? Are they not running silently, sir? Is this not prayerful poetry, sir? Am I not an honorable veteran, sir? Don't I belong to a virtuous grassroots force of independence, sir? Mr. Speaker, sir. Why is this for me, the sound of silence? Are we independents, not the know-nothing party of old? Why do you wish to make my life solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short? Am I not that honorable patriot who has always felt it was necessary to be a constitutional protector? How can I see so many hungry leviathans in the GOP? Where are you now, Mr. Hobbes? Hello, darkness, my old friend. Have I come to talk with you again? Can I not graduate with college credentials? Socrates, Mr. Socrates. And, how is it that I know nothing? Am I as doomed to be condemned to a life without answers because I'm not allowed to speak the questions? Sir, Mr. Kevin, sir. Should I always feel as though I've been blinded by the light? Where are those godforsaken eye-stabbing laser-like headlights originating? In outer space. Senator Josh Hawley. Is that you again, I see, in the House gallery? Honed those concealing skills, have you? Isn't that a laser pointer in your hand? Sir, Kevin, sir. Can you not see that the MAGA fringe is out of control? Why do I need your thought control? Isn't chaos Trump's real party ideologue? Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Why was it necessary to create a massive border barrier of such record-shattering magnitude, Donald? So you say that a federal deficit was never your concern, Donald. But do you think, Donald, that it will be Kevin's? Sir, Kevin, sir. Why is your party insisting on not raising the federal debt ceiling by not spending and not taxing? Actions that are known to be devastating to the American economy. Why is there an insistence on a constitutional crisis, Donald? Please, Mr. Socrates, how can I examine my life if I'm no longer allowed to question myself existentially? Or should I allow those fearsome earworms to continue feasting on my brain within this well of silence? Sir, Mr. Speaker, sir. I will show you the salutation of your honorable position in societal respect. However, I will never stop despising you for enabling treasonous fools and remaining silent about the endangerment of our peaceful constitutional way of life. I can see Hobbes in raucous laughter, can't you? There is nothing admirable about you, Mr. Speaker, and the sad hopeless reality is that we shall never be friends. As I see it, you don't deserve the title, Kevin. No hatred from me, sir, just a strong yearning for my friend, Justice. Oh, how I wish I could talk with him again. What is my purpose? My apologia. Can't you guess? This satire is not intended to be toxically rhetoric, nor hostile sarcasm, said this self-professed sage, just my thoughtful form of spewing out a jovial reverent prayer. Quote. Satire. Satire. Kaboom. Kaboom. Holy smokies. Who was that streaker? Mr. Kevin, sir. Did Justice just flee from our house? Like a man on fire? Nope, it was just Joshy Boy. He playing too close to MTG. And was there nitro in his hand? Remember the fist on January 6th? Ha ha ha, ha ha ha, ha ha ha. Was it your will to power, Joshy Boy? Or bad congressional DNA? Good luck, Mr. Speaker, good luck. Amen. Was this the soulful affirmation of a twisted sage's self-esteem? Thank you for laughing. He who has a why to live for can bear almost anyhow. Friedrich Nietzsche.